everyone. It's Idina Menzel here. I am here on the marvelous Miss Maisel Monday, Amazon Live thingy, or what my mom would call, have you seen that show, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel? And I'm here with the creative team and the amazing cast, and just so excited to talk to everybody. We have Rachel Brosnahan, Marguerite Derricks, the choreographer, Tony Shalhoub, and we have Amy Sherman-Palladino and Dan Palladino. Hi, everybody. How are you?
Hello.
I thank you so much for having me. I'm honored. I'm a huge fan of the show. As you might know, I'm a New York City girl, a Jewish girl from a crazy, colorful, complicated Jewish family. I've wanted to perform my whole life and had the passion that Midge had, despite perhaps prioritizing myself over other people. I completely understand this character. And I'm just a huge fan of the show, and thank you for allowing me to be here with you all.
Sure. Thank you. This is very cool
so
for us.
Shiny and fabulous. Like your hair is like mesmerizing. I'm like hypnotized staring at your hair. You look so amazing. I feel so.
Yeah, it's fake. It's fake. I have clip-ins. I can do my own clip-ins during quarantine. Wait, but do I have to take them out?
Teach me your ways.
No, don't take them out.
My bangs are real. I got so bored, I cut the bangs during quarantine.
Did you cut your own bangs?
Almost, but the but the clip-ins, I can take one out for you. I'll do it at the end of the show. Anyway. Such an important conversation. Let's start. Okay, so this is the thing. I went back and I did my research because I binge watched the whole season a while ago, and so then when I found out I was doing this, I want to go back and rewatch a bunch of episodes, and I was obviously delighted and just got so much more out of it. But I also felt this kind of undercurrent of sadness, just that seeing it through this lens of the climate that we're in and this crazy world. And I just felt this I missed you guys. It made me miss my life of being in a community of people working on set or at the theater or rehearsing or whatever it is. And I just thought maybe we could start off by talking about what you guys miss about each other or something. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It could be something small, but is there something, Rachel, that you really missed lately about not being on set with these guys and being stuck home alone?
Yeah.
What do you miss?
I miss Amy.
There you go.
What do you miss about Amy?
I do. There's so many things that we miss. We talk about it all the time. It's exactly like you said, we spend all of this amazing time together in this enormous community, this village that it takes to make this show. And I miss laughing with everyone in real time without the Zoom technology delay. And that sounds corny, but it's true. And I can't wait till we can get the band back together again.
Yeah, we're a weirdly, probably unhealthily close bunch of people, and it's a very strange world because normally last year we would be filming now, we would be together, we would already be exhausted and cursing the fact that we have no other skills that we can make music. It's just a very it's very weird being so disconnected, and then we're trying so hard to get back together again, and then all the talk about we're all gonna be wearing hazmat suits around each other, which is very strange too. But I'll wear a hazmat suit to be back in with these guys. I'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
I will do that. I will wear hazmat for you because that's how much I
think the thing I miss the most is the table reads because it's this one. First of all, the food is fantastic, by the way.
Yeah, really good.
Not that that's important to actors, really, but what's great about it's a massive room. It's a massive room at Steiner, and it's gigantic. I mean, there's got to be 100 people in this, the Amazon people, our crew people, our creative team, the designers. It's a wonderfully joyous it's kind of like being at some kind of sporting event. That's how it feels, that big, and it's just a it's just a great day.
Yeah, I mean, it's good because we have our Zoom writers' rooms going, and if someone says something funny and people laugh, Zoom cuts out everybody's mic because it kind of overwhelms. It's something we would like.
It's the worst.
You can't tell what's funny.
No,
exactly.
No. Satan invented Zoom writers' room.
You see this?
Really, it's just a horrible thing.
You see that, and I say, okay, I guess you really miss the sound. But this group is it's kind of a hybrid between theater and TV. A lot of TV shows, they don't even do table reads. Most comedies do, but when we take a script to the table to be read, we've already done polish after polish after polish because we want it to be perfect for this group.
A performance.
Yeah. So we really set it up. We do very little rewriting after the reading because we get it so close.
Extremely lazy.
And we're usually long, but yeah, that's why the readings are so great, because it's a little more like a play that's been honed, and then you have actors that are just performing at the table, and they do perform at the table, and it's fantastic, and we do miss that.
So can you take everyone through sort of the layers? So you get your script, you're all in the writing room, you read through, and then if there's some big numbers that you have to rehearse, how much time? Because everybody talks about the theatricality of this show, and yet you're on a TV schedule. So it's like you don't get 5 weeks like we do when we do a play, and we can learn the blocking, and the lines just sort of come because we know we're supposed to be at number 3 and pick up the glass here. I'm assuming we don't have the same kind of time. So how does it work? How do you layer in all of that stuff? And Marguerite, even with the choreography, you probably grab people into a room and do your thing, and then you're all in a you do your read through, and then what happens?
Then we cry for a while. and then we send people off with Marguerite
for one day.
Yeah, I'm lucky to get Rachel, and sometimes I get her one day a month before we shoot the scene, and then I don't see her until we're on the set ready to do it again. So I hadn't seen her for a month. But before that, for me, and the thing I miss the most is once I get the script, I then get that first creative meeting with Amy and Dan. And not only do they talk about their vision for the scene, but they tell me how the camera is going to dance. So I know exactly where the camera is going to be moving before I start creating the choreography. And for me, that's the most fun thing I've ever done as a choreographer, is that pas de deux between the camera and the dance. And I get that whole
Which I think people probably don't realize what a skill that is, because you can come up with the movement. And by the way, I'm talking as someone that people always think is a dancer, and I am not. Just because you're on Broadway doesn't mean you can dance. So usually I have I'm tutored. So I'm brought into a special ed room and taught, because my mind cannot comprehend more than one step at a time, and the assistant choreographer usually has to deal with me in another room. But oh yeah, they're showing the picture. I was gonna there I am. I was gonna bring that up, Marguerite. That moment of Shy's that woman, what's her name? Do I know her? What's her name? She's amazing.
Her name is Regine Patterson, and actually Ray. And Amy and Dan and I found Ray on the TV show Bunheads. And I remember before we started shooting season 3, being at the airport before we even started the season, and Amy and Dan came up and said, we need to do something special for Ray this season. And so they wrote that specifically for Ray. So that was just,
it was beautiful. I mean, the Heinz number is incredible, but that actually took my breath away. I thought it was so sexy.
She's very special. She's very special. And she was one of our girls on Bunheads, and we have been sort of tracking her from being sort of this young ballerina to she's got little bambinos now, and she's like a grown woman. And we wanted to drag her into our universe because she's just such a sensational dancer. Like she's just really great, and I'm working on her to move to New York. I'm working on it.
I just remember one day on the set of Bunheads, I was walking across the floor and she had her shoes off, and I said, "Ray, your feet are bleeding," because there was blood on her socks. And she goes, "Yeah." It was just like they dance through pain, and they're so used to it that
That's what I always say. I dance through my pain.
Yeah.
Or the pain of the choreographer.
I want to say one quick thing about Marguerite, though. Like you said, Idina, I'm also very much not a dancer, and find some of the sequences that Amy and Dan have tortured me with to be so intimidating. You know, there's a scene in one of the Catskills episodes where there's this giant name dance, and it's a big long oneer, and I had to dance with like 8 or 9 or something different partners, and we basically had one day to rehearse it. And Marguerite is such an incredible leader, both for these girls who are consummate professionals, and also for people who are just as panicked as me and Luke. You know, we had to learn this dance together this season, and she just, what she manages to accomplish in such a short period of time is extraordinary, and we are so lucky.
I mean, the great thing about
sorry, Amy. Go ahead.
No, the great thing about Marguerite, other than the fact that she's very cute, is she's a brilliant choreographer who really understands story and camera. And you can find great choreographers who don't understand camera and don't know how to like push the right thing or make an adjustment in the moment, of which there's always adjustments in the moment. When the camera gets in there, and Jim McConkey, our Steadicam guy, is like, "This girl's bumping into me," and so we got to like move her around to make sure we get that, on camera. And the other thing is she understands story, and I'm sure you've dealt with this, when you're in a musical and you have, the story is moving and a number comes in, and the movement has got to continue the story. Otherwise, it's like everybody stops and does a number. So it's like it's wonderful to work with someone who knows the story, knows where the joke is, knows how to get the girl away from McConkey so he doesn't fall over with his very expensive camera. And it's just, and also she's somebody who the dancers just want to dance for her so much, and they want to work so hard for her. And yet she looks cute and sweet and like a little chipmunk. But I gotta tell you, when on Bunhead once, we were doing this long oneers camera move, and a girl fell, and she turns to her, she goes, "What happened?" And the girl goes, "I fell." And Marguerite goes, "Well, don't." And that was it. That girl never fell. It's like a just get this done kind of thing. And yet the inspiration and the energy is like, I don't know, like to me, like if you go into battle, she should be the general, no matter what's going on, because like people will follow her right off the foot.
And she put a Star of David in the synchronized swimming. I mean,
she did that. She did do that. You got it.
I had to pause it. I paused it just to say it. It was so beautiful.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the other thing I was gonna. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that just made my life. You. Thank you so much. Wow.
Well.
Yeah. We're in awe of you, and you. Yes, and you and your peers that are amazing in the biz. You have a way of making people like Rachel and myself feel comfortable and not as clumsy as we are. And but those really gorgeous, tall, amazing looking dancers, it's a little intimidating sometimes as well. But what can you do?
You work with someone like Marguerite.
Well, I have to say for me, with the cast of Maisel, I get to work with Rachel the most, and she likes to downplay her abilities, because everything I've ever given her, she just does it. She just does it. I've never had to change things or make it easier. And even when we did this big initial dance that she was talking about, it was 9 pages of dialogue. She danced with 11 different partners. And that's the one where I had her a month before we shot that scene. And she was too busy shooting to come back to rehearsals. So the next time I saw her is when we were camera blocking. And she never missed a beat, never missed a beat. So I think that she is a rock star. And for the cast, they just have such an awareness of the camera because the whole show dances. Amy and Dan designed this whole show, whether there's choreography or just people walking, moving through department stores or on streets. It's always dancing. There's always that pas de deux with the camera. And this cast is just genius at their awareness of the camera.
Yeah, they're really good. We do some hard stuff here, and if you don't have the cast that's game for it, then it's not going to work no matter how much rehearsal you have. You know, I will say, I'm just going to say really quick, my favorite thing that Rachel has ever done, still to this day, was in the pilot where we did not have stairs that went down to a subway. We just had the thing that said subway, and she walked behind. And I said, "Could you just pretend like you're taking a couple of stairs?" And literally, it's like Charlie Chaplin. Like he just kept going down. And I think I made it like 400 times only because it was so amusing to me to watch her do it over and over again. And to this day, it's my favorite thing.
I don't think I've ever made Amy laugh that hard again since. It was like we set the bar so high and I'll never be able to live up to it.
It's really funny.
You guys, what do you this might be a little too shop talk, but what I find myself thinking about a lot as a performer and someone that goes through theater and TV and film is kind of the tone and the relationship to the camera, and how some actors will be like, "Oh, I'm always the same no matter what. Just connect, just be real." But because it's a show, it's so real, it's so authentic, and yes, there is a heightened quality, and it is theatrical. Are you, I guess, with Amy and Dan? I mean, what I just never trust myself in that way, and I'm always saying, is my face too big? Or if I'm singing, you know, I have to. If I'm lip syncing to something, I have too big. My lip syncing mouth is too big. You can see too many molars if the camera's here. So all of a sudden, I'm lip syncing, but I have to close my mouth in a way that would never be able to get the notes out. And then, you know, the emotional stuff, I'm just like, tell me if my eyebrows are going crazy. I mean, so how did you find the tone, knowing that you're coming from a play and you're trying to reach the back row, and then there's plays, there's musicals, there's so many facets, and you guys kind of do that dance. Tony, you want to talk about it?
Yeah. Oh, I was deferring to you, Rach, but yeah, I think there's a certain quality to the writing that kind of there's a I don't know how else to put it, but there's just a range to it. You can sort of you can sort of unleash yourself, and somehow you by really trusting the words, you know, it just kind of leads you to that place, and of course. Especially I can speak from my, you know, from my point of view. In my case, if ever I'm really, you know, just mugging the crap out of it, you know, then Dan and Amy are there to kind of, you know, very diplomatically sort of tone me down. But 9 times
Well,
out.
how did they?
9 times out of 10, I think there's a certain kind of like you say, it's heightened, so you can be sort of fearless and unapologetic about it, and there's an enormous amount of freedom in that. It's super liberating, and then you just pray to God the editor, you know, has mercy on you.
Well, to that point, like, you know, before this show, I think I had done a lot of drama, and that, you know, the camera's on you this tightly and you're acting with your eyeballs, and it was a real exercise and a challenge, especially in the first season, to find that kind of unleashing that you were talking about, Tony, like to be able to have the freedom to act with your whole body on camera was something that I wasn't accustomed to, because it feels like theater, and it took me a long time to learn that some of the most outlandish faces that felt hammy and disingenuous on this show, because we aren't in this close, they actually conveyed the emotion and the comedy better than some of the stuff that I was more accustomed to. But yeah, I remember a conversation with Amy. I'm sure you remember this. The couch plopping in the pilot was like one of the hardest moments for me to grasp. Where, like, you know, Midge walks into her parents' house after Joel leaves, and it says Midge plops down on the couch, and I don't know how many times we did that plop before I finally figured out that it was, you know, that you could really act with your entire body, and it wasn't just about what I was feeling on the inside. It's been a fascinating and really, really amazing acting exercise to combine the mediums that way on this show.
It's also, it's our job to make sure that nobody comes off looking like a well, I don't know what's derby anymore. I can't. I've been warned about my language, so I don't know what the hell to say. No one comes off looking completely absurd and ridiculous. Like, I think it's important that you know, just on little things, from like the dress is hitting you in a weird way, or the camera, you know, the angle not as, you're not going to want to share that with anybody, or the fact that it's like, I want the actors to feel like they can go and do anything they want, and then if something's going to make them look nuts, you know, I can walk up and say, just, you know, a hair, just a little, just, you know, rein it in like a smidge, you know. So I think there's a trust between us. We work so much together, and we spend so much time together, and there's such conversations, and you know, it's also on the other side. You know, if an actor feels very strongly about trying something or doing something, you got to let them try it and do it, because they're feeling it. You know, whatever is on that page is resonating in them in a way that, you know, you can't just stand outside of it and go, no. You have to like let it, you know, together find that moment that feels good for everybody. So I mean, it's actually one of the really fun things about working on the show, is being able to work so closely with people and be able to say, just go for it. I'll pull you back if you look nuts. Before they drag you off, we'll stop you.
I want to add just one thing too, in that I find with this writing more than others, for me anyway, you know, there's this kind of tremendous variety to it, in the sense that you might be in a moment that's very expansive and, well, for lack of a better word, large, but then, you know, it's butted up to a moment immediately following that where there's a certain amount of like stillness and quiet, and, you know, kind of an internalization, and there's this alternating kind of current that I feel, that you know, so you're not getting into, if something is really starting to get large and spin, it's not really going to go so long and so far before kind of it sort of reverses on itself. So I find that really an interesting kind of dynamic within the writing.
Well, and definitely what you see on screen, like Amy talked about and Tony talked about too, is that trust. Anything that is working on screen is because we trust Amy and Dan, the actors trust Amy and Dan, that they'll take care of us in the edit, or, you know, in the moment, and help us arrive at the space we need to be at. But also there's this immense trust between the actors, and also between us and the camera, and you know, it's this really symbiotic relationship that it's just unlike anything I've ever experienced before. It's amazing.
It comes across, it really does, that and people don't realize just how important it is for us as performers to feel that with the people that we're working with. There's no way to feel that freedom and be spontaneous and be in the moment if you feel like someone's judging you, and you just can't just take a breath and try and take risks. And that's a testament to you guys for letting everybody feel that way on your show. And I think I was thinking, I don't want to put your out. Oh, so I'm not supposed to say, but you know how,
thank God,
you know how in theater,
Hey,
you know how in theater, the playwright, we say the playwright is God. Like nobody changes a single word of a playwright's script. And I feel like it's where a lot of time in TV and film, actors are allowed to kind of fudge with stuff, but it seems like nobody screws with you guys. If it is, it's like you gotta really ask, can I change those 3 words? It's just because the rhythm and the fact that you guys said like you keep working on it and drafting till it's perfect to you. I mean, and it just feels like if somebody just took it out and kind of improvised the words, that it would just change the whole rhythm. So is that the case, or are people
to their credit, even though that is the case, no word shall be changed. They are always right. Like if we drop one tiny word, it completely changes the rhythm of the scene, and it just doesn't land as well. It's while challenging, they are always
right. I've gotten
even
away
punctuation,
with it
right?
I've gotten away with it a couple of times. I know I have. I've gotten away with it a couple of times, but a lot of money had to change hands.
Yeah, well, I find that really a relief to actually just say the words that you guys want, and the phrasing and the punctuation, because when writers are great, then it's just, you don't have to think about it, and everything starts to come. The emotion comes. You don't have to work so hard, except for memorizing the lines, which is, probably a muscle you guys have now that it starts to come easier. But, with my mommy brain, if I was ever on a show like this, which I'm not trying to plug myself for the show, it's just, it would take me, oh my God, I don't know, I'd have to take Ritalin or something. I just.
like for instance, Rachel's stand-ups are some of the most intimidating things you're ever going to see on a TV script, because they are just monologues with single-spaced monologues that can go on for 3 pages, and this is a comic riffing about stuff. So it's not even it's not like a soliloquy that was meant to flow from one thing to the other. She's varying from topic to topic, and sometimes she's being distracted by the audience, and she's supposed to interact with the audience. It's really daunting. I mean, we sometimes look at these pages and we think, like, do we want to like show up the next day when she has to memorize this? Like, is she going to? It's really.
I think Rachel, you had like 3 of them in the last episode. I feel like there were.
Yeah,
maybe 3
there
stand-ups, and then like 2 huge monologues, you and your mom, and I mean, it was quite an undertaking. I do find
that as the season goes on, like you said, it's a muscle that you're working. So it when you get into the practice, it does get easier. I'm terrified to go back to work after all this time off. Go easy on me for the first couple episodes. But
and do you guys sometimes throw out joke punchlines to her and say, try this, try that, like in a sitcom, or you stick with it?
And we don't believe in that either, because we would like to, we hone the scripts ourselves. And when we give them the material, we really don't want to like suddenly pull the rug out from under them. So like pretty much never on the day do we do that, but we really try not to do that at all. It's really not fair, especially for the amount of words that we give them to change our minds.
The scripts are so long that if suddenly we were people who were constantly sending down brand new scenes and brand new, it just feels like the actors would never be able to process it. They would never be able to work it, never be able to. And part of what we feel is our responsibility, because we don't have the luxury of tons and tons and tons of rehearsal time. We try to get in as much rehearsal time as we can at the beginning of the season. And then if there's important things, we'll set aside times and grab the actors to rehearse them, because we don't want to like send them out cold. But part of our responsibility is to hand them material that we feel like we can stand behind and go, okay, this is the material. Now you guys take it and go do your process, and that they're not going to have to worry about things that they've invested and spent so much time on, that suddenly the next day it's like, oh, forget that. Here's this, and with a French accent, go. So it's not
right. Well,
that's
I
kind of
think
our
what Rachel and Tony can speak to is that weird feeling of having done a show, 8 shows a week for a long time, knowing you had a really good show in the previews where you discovered something, new, and then 8 months later doing a line and saying, "Oh, why didn't I do it like that the whole time?" So it's maddening, but it's the process, and you don't have that when so you're allowing them to at least have that to sort of layer in and do a bunch of takes and not change it on them last minute, where it's always just off the top of their heads, which is sounds like a relief to me.
They're a great, and they're a very gracious a bunch of people to each other. They're very respectful to each other. Our actors are, nobody does a phone call and the other actor is not there doing off camera. They'll come in on a day off to do off camera for somebody else because it is important to support each other. And while that is a rule that we would have put down on paper, weirdly, we never had to. It was like these were actors who were always like, "Well, no, I'm going to be there." We flew Michael Zegan to Paris to do an off camera for Rachel because it was a really important phone call, and it just felt like if she did it opposite the script supervisor, I love our script supervisor, but it's not going to have that same chemistry of her and Michael Zegan. So it's watching how much they take care of each other and watching how much they support each other. It makes everybody else in the show feel like that much more obligated to really bring their A game and not send down a script that isn't quite ready, or not say, "Hey, Tony, learn this now, but I may change it in a couple days, when I've had a drink." It's like that's unfair. And there's a level of, just like our crew, they're crew guys. They've seen a lot, they've done a lot, and yet they watch these actors work, and like if they mess up, I think they're gonna kill themselves. They're gonna go out and like throw themselves off a bridge or something. So it's that sort of camaraderie and that sort of care and that sort of graciousness. I just call them, they're a very gracious cast. They really take care of each other, and it'll make you feel like a complete nut. I'm going to say it, complete nutter schmuck if you for some reason decide to slack off a little bit. It's not fair. No one else does it.
Well, I don't think people at home even think about those things, and it makes such a difference, not that there's anybody that would never not show up for their off camera out there, but it's yeah, when you guys set that standard for each other, and then no matter who comes on the show, I'm sure it's like Rachel's doing it and Tony's doing it, then you guys just you show up for each other. And I just, like I said, like we started the whole conversation, it's about that community and that family, and it becomes, just speaking from my own experience, just becomes my identity. Obviously I'm a mom and a wife, but it's everything that I am, and seeing it up there, I was envious. I wanted to be with you guys in that world, or just be in some project working somewhere in a world with people, because I just love it, and the crew, and the AD, and the guy that's probably following, the Steadicam guy that's going backwards and almost breaks his neck every time trying to make sure he's got Rachel walking on the street, and the thing and the oneer you're talking about. It's just, but it's so much fun, and it's just we can see the joy, we can see the fun, and we need that right now, I think.
Well,
and one of the
quick shout out
go ahead.
quick shout out to our crew too. We kind of talked about this, but like, because everyone is working at level 1000, truly everyone, like some of these Steadicam shots are the most extraordinary version of these shots I've ever seen. The lighting is so beautiful. There are so many people working in tandem to make these scenes come alive, that when this entire team nails it, it's everybody's victory. And like, speaking personally, like when those stand-up scenes really work, it's a celebration between all of our crew, between the background actors, between the actors in the scenes. It's, when it works, it is magic, and it's magic for everyone. And that's one of the things that makes the show really, really special. Our crew is amazing.
It's interesting because when we're
Should I do a
talking about
fan?
all the.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. You do your thing. My
Delay.
sad.
No, I was going to do some fan questions, but I don't want to cut off the creator of the show, my interview. Like rule number one.
I was just talking about when we talk about all the rules and regulations when we get back together again. One of the things that we've been really talking about with our producer, Dana Gilbert, is we have to remember we are people that love each other, and that has to be reflected in the way we go forward. It can't just be, I understand that there's rules and regulations. We want everybody safe and protected, but the way we implement and the way we go forward, because it's a special community on Maisel. I've never had it quite like this before. It's important to protect that because the affection we feel for each other off camera is the reason that I think it works on camera. And so that's just, something that in the weird thing of COVID, like one of the things I'm most protective of is yes, nobody's going to get sick or die or breathe weirdly on anybody else. And in addition to that, we're all still going to remain a tight knit group and a family, because if we don't, that's the key to our success. Now you do something
that would be
fun.
nice if that was the rest of the world. It's the principle or the standard that the rest of the world live by.
We can't control anything else.
I know, but you're putting it out there. It's in the ether, and everybody should go back and rewatch the whole season because there's just stuff that's so much fun to see again, especially the swimming scene. That's one of my favorites. Because I used to have to teach my ex-husband's going to kill me, but he's not a great swimmer, and every time we'd go on vacation I try to teach him how to swim. He says that shaky freestyle thing that's just, he goes from like sexiest man alive on People to like the shaky freestyle in the pool. Anyway, it just reminded me of that. But I digress. I guess we're supposed to wrap it up. It was an honor for me to hang out with you guys, and we love you all. I'll speak on behalf of all the fans out there. You're amazing, and thank you for giving us this beautiful, glamorous, heartfelt, emotionally provocative, powerful show. And be safe out there.
Yes,
thank you so much. You and your beautiful hair, real or not real. It was delightful to have you here. We're big admirers of yours, even knowing that half your hair.
This was really special for us. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Everybody, see you soon. We hope.
See you soon.
Yes.
Miss you all.
Marguerite, watch it. Watch the documentary.
All right, I will. Love you. Bye, guys.